Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Vitam Sam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Shila Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Shila Prabhupada.
Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Gurudeva, Srila Gurudeva.
Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Gurudeva, Shila Gurudeva.
Jayam Vishnupad Paramhansa Pariprajakacharya Stotra Sadasri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramhansa Pariprajakacharya Stotra Sadasri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamkunda Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So we shall read and discuss from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, Chapter 4, Sri Madhavendra Puri's devotional service. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. I will read from the chapter summary to give a context to the whole story of Sri Madhavendra Puri's devotional service, and specifically his bringing chandan or sandalwood to cool the body of the deity. In his Amrita Pravaha Bhashya, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives the following summary of the 4th chapter. Passing along the path of Chaturabhoga and coming to Vridhamanteshwara, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reached the border of Orissa. On his way, he enjoyed transcendental bliss by chanting and begging alms in different villages. In this way, he reached the celebrated village of Remuna, where there is a deity of Gopinath. There he narrated the story of Madhavendra Puri, as he had heard it from his spiritual master, Ishwara Puri. The narration is as follows. One night, while in Govardhan, Madhavendra Puri dreamed that the Gopal deity was within the forest. The next morning, he invited his neighborhood friends to accompany him to excavate the deity from the jungle. He then established the deity of Sri Gopalji on top of Govardhan Hill with great pomp. Incidentally, that the deity of Gopal is now worshipped in Nathadwara and is famous by the name of Srinathji. He then established the deity of Sri Gopalji on top of Govardhan Hill with great pomp. Gopal was worshipped, and the Annakut festival was observed. This festival was known everywhere, and many people from the neighboring villages came to join. One night, the Gopal deity again appeared to Madhavendra Puri in a dream and asked him to go to Jagannath Puri to collect some sandalwood pulp and smear it on the body of the deity. Having received this order, Madhavendra Puri immediately started for Orissa. Traveling through Bengal, he reached Remuna village and there received a pot of condensed milk, kshira, offered to the deity of Gopinathji. This pot of condensed milk was stolen by Gopinath and delivered to Madhavendra Puri. Since then, the Gopinath deity has been known as Kshira Chor Gopinath, the deity who stole the pot of condensed milk. After reaching Jagannath Puri, Madhavendra Puri received permission from the king to take out one mound of sandalwood and 20 tolas of camphor. Aided by 2 men, he brought these things to Ramuna. Again, he saw in a dream that Gopal at Govardhan Hill desired that very sandalwood to be turned into pulp, mixed with camphor, and smeared over the body of Gopinathji. Understanding that that would satisfy the Gopal deity at Govardhan, Madhavendra Puri executed the order and returned to Jagannath Puri. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu narrated this story for Lord Nityananda Prabhu and other devotees and praised the pure devotional service of Madhavendra Puri. When he recited some verses composed by Madhavendra Puri, he went into an ecstatic mood. But when he saw that many people were assembled, he checked himself and ate some sweet rice prasadam. Thus he passed the night, and the next morning he again started for Jagannath Puri. Text 1. Yasmai datum chorayan chirabandam Gopinath chira charo bidobut Shri Gopala pradurasid vashasan Yet prem natam madhavendram natosmi. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Madhavendra Puri, who was given a pot of sweet rice stolen by Sri Gopinath, celebrated thereafter as Kshira Chor. Being pleased by Madhavendra Puri's love, Sri Gopal, the deity at Govardhan, appeared to the public vision. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Bhaktivinoda Thakur annotates that this Gopal deity was originally installed by Vajra, the great-grandson of Krishna. Madhavendra Puri rediscovered Gopal and established him on top of Govardhan Hill. This Gopal deity is now situated at Nathadwara and is under the management of the descendants of Vallabhacharya. The worship of the deity is very luxurious, and one who goes there can purchase varieties of prasadam by paying a small price. Jaya Jaya Gaura Chandra Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All glories to Nityananda Prabhu. All glories to Advaita Prabhu. And all glories to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya. So now I will come to the portion that specifically describes the Madhavendra Puri's devotional service of getting chandan, sandalwood, to cool the body of Gopal. So to save time, I won't read the Bengali in general. So we come to text 105. One day, Madhavendra Puri had a dream. In this dream, Madhavendra Puri saw Gopal, who said, "My bodily temperature still has not decreased. Please bring sandalwood from the Malaya province and smear the pulp over my body to cool me." Purport. The deity of Gopal had been buried within the jungle for many years. And although he was installed and was offered thousands of pots of water, he still felt very hot. He therefore asked Madhavendra Puri to bring sandalwood from the Malaya province. Sandalwood produced in Malaya is very popular. That province is situated on the Western Ghat, and the hill Nilagiri is sometimes known as Malaya Hill. The word Malayaja is used to indicate the sandalwood produced in Malaya province. Sometimes the word Malaya refers to the modern country of Malaysia. Formerly, this country also produced sandalwood, but now they have found it profitable to produce rubber trees. Although the Vedic culture was once prevalent in Malaysia, now the inhabitants are Muslims. The Vedic culture is now lost in Malaysia, Java, and Indonesia. Text 107. Bring sandalwood pulp from Jagannath Puri. Kindly go quickly. Since no one else can do it, you must. After having this dream, Madhavendra Puri Goswami became very glad due to ecstasy of love of Godhead. And in order to execute the command of the Lord, he started east toward Bengal. Then we'll skip a few verses. It's very interesting and relishable, but we want to stick to the pastimes of Madhavendra Puri related to the sandalwood. So there's a description of how Madhavendra Puri visited the temple of Gopinath in Ramuna, and how the deity stole the sweet rice for Madhavendra Puri. And after receiving the sweet rice that the deity Gopinath had stolen for him, Sri Madhavendra Puri offered his obeisances to Gopinath on the spot and left Ramuna before morning. Walking and walking, Madhavendra Puri finally reached Jagannath Puri, which is also known as Nilachal. There he saw Lord Jagannath and was overwhelmed with loving ecstasy. When Madhavendra Puri was overwhelmed in the ecstasy of love of Godhead, he sometimes stood up and sometimes fell to the ground. Sometimes he laughed, danced, and sang. In this way, he enjoyed transcendental bliss by seeing the Jagannath deity. When Madhavendra Puri came to Jagannath Puri, people were aware of his transcendental reputation. Therefore, crowds of people came and offered him all sorts of respect and devotion. Even though one may not like it, reputation, as ordained by providence, comes to him. Indeed, one's transcendental reputation is known throughout the world. So we can see the difference between Madhavendra Puri's mood and the mood of an ordinary person. Madhavendra Puri did not want to be praised. He didn't want to be acclaimed. He didn't want to be worshipped. He didn't want to be distracted from his focus on the Lord and on his service to the Lord. Ordinary people, unfortunately, like to be praised and like to be acclaimed. They like to be in a place where they are appreciated. But Madhavendra Puri, to the contrary, he wanted to leave Jagannath Puri because of all the acclaim that he was receiving. But he couldn't. Why? Because he was there on a mission to get sandalwood for Gopal. So even though one may not like it, reputation as ordained by providence comes to him. Indeed, one's transcendental reputation is known throughout the entire world. Being afraid of his reputation, Pratishta, Madhavendra Puri fled from Ramuna, because in Ramuna he was acclaimed because the deity had hidden a pot of sweet rice behind the curtain for Madhavendra Puri. So Madhavendra Puri was acclaimed as being a great devotee for whom the deity had stolen the pot of sweet rice, because Madhavendra Puri wanted to taste it so he could see if he could make similar sweet rice for his deity of Gopal. But Madhavendra Puri was so pure and humble, he considered that he had been lusty by wanting to taste the sweet rice. And he felt very humiliated and ashamed of himself. And so he left the temple and he went into the marketplace, and he found a vacant stall where he could spend the night. But during the night, the pujari of Gopinath had a dream. And the deity of Gopinath told the pujari that I have kept one pot of sweet rice hidden behind the curtain. You didn't notice it when you were removing the offering. And I want you to deliver that sweet rice to Madhavendra Puri, who is resting in the marketplace. So the pujari awoke from the dream and bathed and put on fresh cloth. And lo and behold, he found the pot of sweet rice that Gopinath had hidden behind the curtain for Madhavendra Puri. So he went into the marketplace with the sweet rice and he called out, will the sannyasi named Madhavendra Puri please identify yourself? You are the most fortunate person. Gopinath has stolen a pot of sweet rice for you. So eventually, the pujari found Madhavendra Puri and he delivered the sweet rice to him, which Madhavendra Puri relished and kept some with him. So, because of that incident, Madhavendra Puri became highly reputed as being a great devotee for whom the deity had kept the sweet rice. And Madhavendra Puri didn't want to be acclaimed. He didn't want reputation, so he left Ramuna. But in Jagannath Puri, the same thing happened. He was acclaimed as being a great devotee, which he didn't like. So, text 147. Being afraid of his reputation, Pratishta, Madhavendra Puri fled from Ramuna. But the reputation brought by love of Godhead is so sublime that it goes along with the devotee as if following him. 148. Madhavendra Puri wanted to leave Jagannath Puri because the people were honoring him as a great devotee. However, this threatened to hinder his collecting sandalwood for the Gopal deity. Sri Madhavendra Puri told all the servants of Lord Jagannath and all the great devotees there the story of the appearance of Sri Gopal at Govardhan. When all the devotees at Jagannath Puri heard that the Gopal deity wanted sandalwood, in great pleasure they all endeavored to collect it. And this is also another lesson, although Srila Madhavendra Puri was so humble, he never wanted to ask anyone for service. But in this case, he was in Jagannath Puri for the service of the Lord. And people came forward naturally to help him in every respect. Krishna, in their heart, enlightened them about Srila Madhavendra Puri's position and inspired them to help him in every way. Text 150. When all the devotees of Jagannath Puri heard that the Gopal deity wanted sandalwood, in great pleasure they all endeavored to collect it. Those who were acquainted with the government officers met with them and begged for camphor and sandalwood, which they collected. Purport. It appears that Malayaya chandan, sandalwood, and camphor were used for the Jagannath deity. The camphor was used in his aratrika, and the sandalwood was used to smear his body. Both these items were under government control. Therefore, the devotees had to meet with the government officials. Informing them of all the details, they obtained permission to take the sandalwood and camphor outside Jagannath Puri. Text 152. One Brahmin and one servant were given to Madhavendra Puri just to carry the sandalwood. He was also given the necessary traveling expenses. To get past the toll collectors along the way, Madhavendra Puri was supplied with the necessary release papers from government officers. The papers were placed in his hand. In this way, Madhavendra Puri started for Vrindavan with the burden of sandalwood. And after some days, he again reached the village of Ramuna and the Gopinath temple there. When Madhavendra Puri reached the temple of Gopinath, he offered his respectful obeisances many times at the lotus feet of the Lord. In the ecstasy of love, he began to dance and sing without cessation. When the priest of Gopinath saw Madhavendra Puri again, he offered all respect to him and, giving him the sweet rice prasadam, made him eat. Madhavendra Puri, he would not make any endeavor to get food. Whatever food came to him of its own accord, he would accept. Otherwise, he'd made no endeavor whatsoever to get food. And so renounced and detached. And he had so much faith in Krishna. Madhavendra Puri took rest that night at the temple. But toward the end of the night, he had another dream. Madhavendra Puri dreamed that Gopal came before him and said, "O Madhavendra Puri, I have already received all the sandalwood and camphor. Now just grind all the sandalwood together with the camphor and then smear the pulp on the body of Gopinath daily until it is finished." This is very significant. There is no difference between my body and Gopinath's body. They are one and the same. Therefore, if you smear the sandalwood pulp on the body of Gopinath, you will naturally also smear it on my body. Thus, the temperature of my body will be reduced. Purport. Gopal was situated in Vrindavan, which was far from Ramuna. In those days, one had to pass through provinces governed by the Muslims, who sometimes hindered travelers. Considering the trouble of his devotee, Lord Gopal, the greatest well-wisher of his devotees, ordered Madhavendra Puri to smear the sandalwood pulp on the body of Gopinath, which was not different from the body of Gopal. In this way, the Lord relieved Madhavendra Puri from the trouble and inconvenience. Text 161. You should not hesitate to act according to my order. Believing in me, just do what is needed. That's what Gopal told Madhavendra Puri in his dream. After giving these instructions, Gopal disappeared, and Srila Madhavendra Puri awoke. He immediately called for the servants of Gopinath, and they came before him. Madhavendra Puri said, "Smear the body of Gopinath with this camphor and sandalwood I have brought for Gopal in Vrindavan. Do this regularly every day. If the sandalwood pulp is smeared over the body of Gopinath, then Gopal will be cooled. After all, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is completely independent. His order is all-powerful." The servants of Gopinath became very pleased to hear that in the summer, all the sandalwood pulp would be used to anoint the body of Gopinath. Madhavendra Puri said, "These two assistants will regularly grind the sandalwood, and you should also get 2 other people to help. I shall pay their salaries." In this way, Gopinathji was supplied ground sandalwood pulp daily. The servants of Gopinath were very pleased with this. In this way, the sandalwood pulp was smeared over the body of Gopinath until the whole stock was finished. Madhavendra Puri stayed there until that time. In other words, Madhavendra Puri didn't just hand over the sandalwood and camphor and leave it to the pujaris and Saivites to do the service to Gopinath, but out of love, he remained there the whole time to relish the deity's service. Text 169. At the end of summer, Madhavendra Puri returned to Jagannath Puri, where he remained with great pleasure during the whole period of Chaturmasya. Thus, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally praised the nectarian characteristics of Madhavendra Puri. And while he related all this to the devotees, he personally relished it. So remember, this is the story that Lord Chaitanya heard from his spiritual master, Ishwara Puri, who was a disciple of Srila Madhavendra Puri. And now he was relating that story to the devotees when they came to Remuna. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Nityananda Prabhu to judge whether there was anyone within this world as fortunate as Madhavendra Puri. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Madhavendra Puri was so fortunate that Krishna personally appeared before him on the plea of delivering milk. So that was the first time when Madhavendra Puri was at Govardhan. As I mentioned, he would not make any effort to get food. And so he was hungry. And Krishna, in the guise of an ordinary cowherd boy, came to Madhavendra Puri and said that the ladies of the village have seen that you're fasting, and they sent me with milk for you. And Krishna said, no one in my village goes hungry. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Madhavendra Puri was so fortunate that Krishna personally appeared before him on the plea of delivering milk. 3 times the Lord gave orders to Madhavendra Puri in dreams. Being obliged because of the loving affairs of Madhavendra Puri, Lord Krishna himself appeared as the Gopal deity, and accepting Madhavendra Puri's service, Gopal delivered the whole world. On account of Madhavendra Puri, Lord Gopinath stole the pot of sweet rice. Thus he became famous as Kshir Chor, the thief who stole the sweet rice. Madhavendra Puri smeared the sandalwood pulp over the body of Gopinath, and in this way he was overpowered with love of Godhead. In the provinces of India governed by the Muslims, there was much inconvenience in traveling with sandalwood and camphor. Because of this, Madhavendra Puri might have gotten into trouble. This became known to the Gopal deity. The Lord is very merciful and attached to his devotees. So when Gopinath was covered with sandalwood pulp, Madhavendra Puri's labor became successful. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu placed the standard of Madhavendra Puri's intense love before Nityananda Prabhu for judgment. All his loving activities are uncommon, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. Indeed, one is struck with wonder to hear of his activities. Purport. Now, we can see how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is relishing glorifying his devotee. And this is a quality that for which we should all aspire. We should relish glorifying the devotees. We should take pleasure in glorifying the devotees and not feel envious. Purport. When the living entity feels spiritual separation from Krishna, Krishna Viraha, he has achieved the prime success of life. When one becomes disinterested in material things, he is simply experiencing the other side of attraction for material things, attachment and aversion. However, feeling separation from Krishna and engaging in the service of the Lord to fulfill his mission constitute the best example of love of Krishna. And we can see how this description perfectly fits Srila Prabhupada, who was full of love for Krishna. I'll read it again. Feeling separation from Krishna and engaging in the service of the Lord to fulfill his mission constitute the best example of love of Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to point out this intense love of Krishna exhibited by Srila Madhavendra Puri. All Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's devotees later followed in the footsteps of Madhavendra Puri, serving the Lord without personal considerations. So that's our mission. That's our way. That's our process. Text 179. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, Sri Madhavendra Puri used to remain alone. He was completely renounced and always very silent. He was uninterested in everything material, and for fear of talking about mundane things, he always lived without a companion. After receiving the transcendental orders of Gopal, this great personality traveled thousands of miles just to collect sandalwood by begging. Although Madhavendra Puri was hungry, he would not beg food to eat. This renounced person carried a load of sandalwood for the sake of Sri Gopal. Without considering his personal comforts, Madhavendra Puri carried one mound, about 82 pounds of sandalwood, and 20 tolas, about 8 ounces of camphor, to smear over the body of Gopal. This transcendental pleasure was sufficient for him. So it's so purifying just to read about Srila Madhavendra Puri. Since there were restrictions against taking the sandalwood out of the Orissa province, the toll official confiscated the stock. But Madhavendra Puri showed him the release papers given by the government and consequently escaped difficulties. Madhavendra Puri was not at all anxious during the long journey to Vrindavan through the provinces governed by the Muslims and filled with unlimited numbers of watchmen. Although Madhavendra Puri did not have a farthing with him, he was not afraid to pass by the toll officers. His only enjoyment was in carrying the load of sandalwood to Vrindavan for Gopal. This is the natural result of intense love of Godhead. The devotee does not consider personal inconveniences or impediments. In all circumstances, he wants to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This statement reminds me of an exchange that Srila Prabhupada had with Bhakti Swarup Damodar Swami. Of course, Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj took sannyas after Srila Prabhupada left, so at that time he was known as Swarup Damodar Das. So Swarup Damodar said to Srila Prabhupada that I have only one department, the Bhaktivedanta Institute, BI, and I have to deal with so many problems. I can't even imagine how many problems you have to deal with because you're responsible for the whole worldwide movement of ISKCON. And Srila Prabhupada replied, problems? I don't see any problems. I see only service to my Guru Maharaj. It's the same idea. This is the natural result of intense love of Godhead. The devotee does not consider personal inconveniences or impediments. In all circumstances, he wants to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sri Gopal wanted to show how intensely Madhavendra Puri loved Krishna. Therefore, he asked him to go to Nilachal to fetch sandalwood and camphor. With great trouble and after much labor, Madhavendra Puri brought the load of sandalwood to Remuna. However, he was still very pleased. He discounted all the difficulties. So yeah, he took pleasure. And this reminds me of Govardhan Hill. Haridasa Varya, he's glorified by the gopis. Or it is said Srimati Radharani in particular as Haridasa Varya, the best servant of Lord Hari. Because Pramoda, that he was pleased to render his service. It's let me just read that verse. It's so beautiful. I hope it's here. I'll get it from the Bhagavatam. Yes. Here is the verse that describes Govardhan Hill, which reminds me of the mood of Srila Madhavendra Puri, who discounted all difficulties and took pleasure in the service of the Lord. So this is Canto 10, Chapter 21. The gopis glorify Krishna's flute, Venu Gita, text 18. Hantayam ajir abala haridasa varyo yad Rama Krishna charana spardasha pramoda manam tanoti sahago ganayos tayor yat pani yasuya vasakandara kandamula. Translation. Of all the devotees, this Govardhan hill is the best. O my friends, this hill supplies Krishna and Balaram, along with their calves, cows, and cowherd boy friends, all kinds of necessities, water for drinking, very soft grass, caves, fruits, flowers, and vegetables. In this way, the hill offers respects to the Lord. Being touched by the lotus feet of Krishna and Balaram, Govardhan Hill appears very jubilant. So that's the idea. Govardhan Hill feels jubilant in rendering his service. And Srila Madhavendra Puri did too. So, text 188. With great trouble and after much labor, Madhavendra Puri brought the lotus sandalwood to Ramuna. However, he was still very pleased. He discounted all the difficulties. To test the intense love of Madhavendra Puri, Gopal, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, ordered him to bring sandalwood from Nilachal, Jagannath Puri. And when Madhavendra Puri passed this examination, the Lord became very merciful to him. Such behavior exhibited in loving service between the devotee and the devotee's lovable object, Sri Krishna, is transcendental. It is not possible for a common man to understand. Common men do not even have the capacity. After saying this, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu read the famous verse of Madhavendra Puri. And that is another wonderful feature of Srila Madhavendra Puri's devotional service, how he composed this verse, which was actually spoken by Srila Madhavendra Puri. And it is said that only 3 people could understand the meaning of the verse. Srila Madhavendra Puri, Srimati Radharani, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But we have come to the conclusion of the discussion of Srila Madhavendra Puri and his Chandan Yatra, his journey to bring Chandan for Gopal, which endeavor was fulfilled when the Chandan and camphor were rubbed on the body of Gopinath in Ramuna. So I thank Samrita Prabhu for inviting me on this most auspicious occasion. It is also Akshaya Tritiya. And now we can take questions and comments from the devotees. I see. Yes, Uttama Krishna Das has his hand raised.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada, Jai Gurudev. Maharaj, although physically I haven't got your association or I haven't met with you, but I'm a very insignificant soul in Balaram Desh, but last 25 years or more, I had a strong desire. Maybe I'm emotional because today that one of the things has come true. That is, I had a long time desire that I had dream to 3 sannyasi along with my Guru Maharaj to visit Balaram Desh. So one of them was Sri Srimad Bhaktichari Swami Maharaj, Sri Srimad Radhanath Swami Maharaj, and Sri Srimad Giriraj Swami Maharaj. So today, through the net, first time we got the blessing from you. And as I said, last 25 years, Maharaj, I was carrying this dream. And when you wrote first time and you give it was a journal that I want to remain dog of Srila Prabhupada. Whenever I read that, I read so many times on that, and every time I think I can say you by heart that even watering the seed, many moons on watering the seed, I read many times, Maharaj. So Maharaj, I'm really excited to have your darshan today. You never been or you didn't give us a blessing to physically presence in Balaram Desh. But as I said, 25 years dream has come true. Other 2 sannyasi Maharaj, Srimad Bhaktichari Swami Maharaj, even Srimad Radhanath Swami Maharaj, one time both of them has visited Balaram Desh. So today I'm happy. And Maharaj, along with that, since you have spoken about Madhavendra Puripad, I wanted to share with through you to everyone. Madhavendra Puripad, as you know, which is recently Bangladesh, that is called Sylhet area where Madhavendra Puripad was appeared. Recently, very recently, like a week before, that we have a Sannyasi Maharaj, Bhakti Advaita Navadvip Swami Maharaj, he is a disciple of His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj. They have made the first contract for get the property where Madhavendra Puripad was appeared. So it was by another people was living there. So ISKCON is taking over slowly, gradually that place, and it will be a pilgrimage for all of us. So just a week before, first initial deed was signed. So that's, I thought, on this very auspicious day of Akshay Titiya and your presence, and you have given a class on Sripad Madhavendra Puri. So please forgive me if I have controlled my line or beyond the line, but I thought to share, so excited because long time I was in talking with Srimad Bhakti Advaita Navadvip Swami Maharaj about this birthplace of Madhavendra Puripad. So for us, is for ISKCON is a great achievement. A great Vaishnava in our legacy has placed has come to under ISKCON control. Very soon it will be fully placed. Maharaj, again, I pay my humble obeisances at your feet. I have no question, but as I said, 25 years dream when comes true, I think you can understand how one will be excited and emotionally will be here. Dandavat Pranam once again at your divine lotus feet, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for that beautiful expression, and also for the wonderful news about Madhavendra Puri's birthplace coming to ISKCON. That's so auspicious. Thank you.
Radha Gaur Prabhu, you can go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisance at your lotus feet. All glories to His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada and to his disciples. Maharaj, very fortunate to have your darshan in Middle East again. And I just want to really thank you for giving such a wonderful mercy on such an auspicious day to all of us here. And some of us, of course, are not seeing you, but I'm going to take your recordings today and give it to them to hear. I just had a small one clarification, Maharaj, to check with you about Madhavendra Puri Swami Maharaj. Where did exactly he left?
Oh, you have to unmute. You became mute.
Hello? Hare Krishna. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, Maharaj, I wanted to ask you about where did Madhavendra Puri Maharaj leave his body? And did he come back to Vrindavan after the Chandan Leela to celebrate again in Vrindavan?
Yes, he did return to Vrindavan. But I don't know, what was your question about his disappearance?
Yes, where exactly did he disappear? I mean, where is his Samadhi?
Oh, well, his disappearance pastime is vividly described in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. You might have read the story. Many of the devotees might have read the description that he was feeling separation from Krishna in the mood of Radharani. And Srila Ishwara Puri was serving him, perfectly as a disciple. He would physically, he would, clean up his stool, everything, and spiritually, he would remind him of Krishna. So he was the ideal servant, and Madhavendra Puri blessed him that he would become a great lover of Krishna. And he was so blessed by his spiritual master, Srila Madhavendra Puri, that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, accepted Srila Ishwara Puri as his spiritual master. But there was another disciple named Ramachandra Puri who misunderstood his spiritual master's feelings of separation and thought they were mundane lamentation. And he started speaking, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma Nasochatina Kankshit. You shouldn't hanker or lament. He couldn't understand that his spiritual master's lamentation was transcendental, in the mood of separation, like Srimati Radharani. And so Madhavendra Puri, you could say, cursed him. And he said, get out of here. I'm already suffering because I could not attain Krishna. And now this rascal has come to tell me about Brahman. So I'm doubly unhappy. He said, go away from here. So I'm not sure exactly where that pastime took place. It never occurred to me to inquire, but I'm sure we can find out. But I don't think we need to do that right now. We can find out. Yeah. But thank you for giving me an opportunity to remember Srila Madhavendra Puri's disappearance pastimes.
And as the other devotee was just sharing how blissful he was, even I am also very blissful, Maharaj. And just for the information of some of the devotees here, we are with a great personality who took a lot of pain to lay the foundation of Jewish ISKCON, which actually took off the ISKCON movement in India, which became a real center point for everybody to look up. And I was very fortunate to hear the Krishna mantra, Hare Krishna mantra, first time from the lotus mouth of His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj when I was just 11-year-old. And he's my first Diksha Guru. And today is my great fortune that I'm able to pay my obeisances though on the Zoom. I only love to massage his lotus feet whenever I can get a chance. So there are a lot of stories, of course, but I know there's no time to relate it, and no glories can actually stop his glorification, which he has done so much for his Divine Grace Prabhupada and the moment. Thank you so much, Maharaj. I'm very much obliged to have your darshan.
Thank you. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Jai.
Thank you, Radha Gaur Prabhu. Rasamant Prabhu, I think you have a question. You can go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept our humble obeisances at your lotus feet. And thank you, Maharaj, for your blessing and your kindness in coming here, inspiring and giving your inspirational Vani to all of us. Hearing from you the pastimes of Madhavendra Puri has become more sweeter, Maharaj, when we have hearing this pastime. And also we would like to express our thanks to all your disciples and well-wishers who have also connected here with Zoom to us. We would like to offer our respect to all of them. Maharaj, my question is that now almost 5 decades have passed, long 50 years have passed, but I have many times heard from you about pastimes of Srila Prabhupada, and many of senior disciples of Srila Prabhupada, when you narrate the pastimes of Srila Prabhupada and speak about your Guru Maharaj, it actually looks like it is just happening right now, or it has just happened yesterday, and the memory is so fresh, so vivid, with so much of detail, so much of love, and very detailed description, Maharaj, all the disciples of Srila Prabhupada gives. So Maharaj, I just want to seek your blessing, and also ask this question, that how can we also get this kind of dedication towards Srila Prabhupada and towards our own Guru Maharaj also, that we can really love them so much that we can always remember them, worship them, and have them in our heart, Maharaj.
The basic process is to abide by the orders of the spiritual master. And by doing so, your relationship with the spiritual master becomes very strong. And you get mercy from the spiritual master. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that when one receives mercy from the spiritual master, one develops a worshipful mood towards the spiritual master. So that's the main thing, to follow the instructions. And of course, the basis of following the instructions is faith. Ado Shraddha, first is faith. If you don't have faith in the spiritual master and you're not humble, then you'll have difficulty following the instructions. It's interesting because one disciple asked Srila Prabhupada that Lord Chaitanya gave us the Shikshashtaka, but spiritual master is such an important part of Krishna consciousness, but there doesn't seem to be any mention of the spiritual master in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Shikshashtaka. And Prabhupada replied, it's there in the third verse. Chinadapi suniche natararapi sihishnuna. That if you're humble, then you'll realize that you need a spiritual master. So it's implicit in the third verse. So yes, for us to develop that mood of service to the spiritual master, and obedience to the spiritual master, which will ultimately bring us to that stage of attachment to the spiritual master. We have to humbly execute his orders. And he'll reciprocate. Definitely, he'll reciprocate. Whether he's physically present or not is immaterial. But yeah, he will reciprocate. And Srila Prabhupada said he always felt that his spiritual master was beside him looking over his shoulder. So we should also feel that our spiritual master is always with us. Of course, he's there to help us, but he's always with us means we should be very conscious of what we're doing, whether it's pleasing to the spiritual master, because he will know what we're doing and are not doing. So, yeah.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the question.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, there's another question which has been sent on the chat box. They're asking that, Maharaj, can you share some experience of your initial days in the temple, especially with regards to the faith? How did you get that, and how you kept going in those austere and difficult conditions?
Can you repeat that? By the
So,
way, did the person who asked the question, is that person on Zoom?
yeah, he's on Zoom. He has personally actually sent to me a personal chat directly.
Okay.
Yeah. So he wanted to know, especially what, like the faith that kept you going in the austere situation in Juhu temple, the experiences in the initial days. How did you actually do that? That's
Yeah.
what.
Well, when I first joined, I tried to do everything that we were told to do, follow the whole process. And it was like a long list of things to do and not do. And so I would, do what I was supposed to do and not do what I was supposed to not do. But there was no clear focus. But then in 1971, in the Calcutta temple late one night, I happened to meet Tamal Krishna Goswami on the balcony when all the other devotees were asleep. And we had quite a long talk. And he shared with me his realization that, the secret of success in spiritual life is to, please the spiritual master, to follow the orders of the spiritual master and please him. So then everything I was doing, I was still doing the same things, but the focus became a little different, and that I was now doing them all specifically to please Srila Prabhupada. So, that was my mood in Juhu. I knew he wanted me there. I myself, I liked India, but I thought, why Bombay? Why not a holy place like Mayapur, Vrindavan? Why Bombay? And for a while, I thought it might be temporary. But later, I understood that it was not temporary. Prabhupada wanted me there. And in fact, there was a little incident when two devotees who were junior to me took sannyas. And Gopal Krishna Maharaj, who was the GBC, I was the temple president. So Gopal Krishna Maharaj went to Srila Prabhupada and told him that I wanted to take sannyas, which wasn't the case. I didn't say that. So anyway, Prabhupada called for me and he said, Gopal Krishna, he was a householder then, So Gopal Krishna says that you want to take sannyas. So I didn't want to contradict him. So I said yes. And then Prabhupada said, why do you want to take sannyas? So I said, what we always hear, that it would be a good facility for preaching. And Prabhupada said, you cannot preach as a brahmachari? I said, yes, I can. They said, are there any other reasons why you want to take sannyas? And there were other reasons, but I didn't think they were worthy of saying. One reason was devotees would offer me obeisances. You can see how far I am from, or at least then, how far I was from Madhavendra Puri. So I thought, yeah, well, devotees will offer obeisances, and I'll get more Mahaprasad. But I didn't think I could say that to Srila Prabhupada. So when he said, are there any other reasons? I'm on a you should join the program. I'm on a
Oh, is there a program? I wasn't aware about it. So
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, join right away. Join right
Sure,
away.
thank you, Maharaj.
So then so we had this exchange. Then I went to the city to preach. And when I came back in the evening, I went back up to Srila Prabhupada's quarters, and his servant said, boy, Srila Prabhupada really didn't like your idea of taking sannyas. And they oh yeah. So on the point of preaching, Srila Prabhupada said, what does Giriraj think that by taking sannyas, he'll sprout 4 arms for preaching? And then he came to the point that this is leading up to. Then he came to the point, Giriraj can never leave Bombay, because he apprehended that if I took sannyas, I might leave. And Prabhupada did say sannyas means if you don't like a place, you can leave. Not that I didn't like Bombay, but he didn't want me to give up my responsibilities for Juhu. So knowing that Prabhupada wanted me there sustained me through all the difficulties and trials and tribulations. Yeah. Does that answer the question?
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you. Malti Mataji, you can go next. You raised your hands.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Actually, I have a question which is not related to the class today. So, can I ask that question?
Yes.
Um, uh, I have if I make a spiritual master and I have a desire to stay with him 24 hours and serve him, so why can't I get the opportunity to serve him like the other brahmacharis can?
What's the question exactly?
If I have a desire to stay with my Guru Maharaj and serve him 24 hours with him, then why can't I stay with him? Because I'm said that it is not allowed it's written in the scriptures that we are not allowed to stay with sannyasis, that ladies are not allowed to stay.
How old are you?
I'm 16 right now.
Okay. Well, this might sound like a little different kind of answer, but if you become a very good cook, your spiritual master might want to have you around. So that could be one approach.
Okay. Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. If devotees have no further questions, then I would actually request His Grace Vasamit Prabhu from Avtari Desh to offer the vote of thanks from on behalf of both Balram Desh and Avtari Desh.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you once again for blessing both the yatras. So we have Balram Desh and Avtari Desh devotees here congregated, and on behalf of the leaders of both the yatras, Avtari Desh and Balram Desh, we would like to sincerely express our heartfelt gratitude to you, having come here and giving your darshan, your inspirational vani, and your valuable time, Maharaj. This is first time that we are having you, and we are also excited to have you, Maharaj, as the Uttam Krishna Prabhu also told. So Maharaj, I will not take much time, but just tell one or two point which has really touched my heart from your explanation. And you told one very nice point that this is the difference between the mood of Madhavendra Puri and the mood of an ordinary person, that he didn't want to get distracted from his service to the Lord, and therefore the ordinary person goes after the desire to get appreciated. However, Madhavendra Puri was running away from it, but as the verse says, that it is ordinated by the will of providence, and wherever Madhavendra Puri went, the appreciation fall. Indeed, it reached before he reached there. So this was a very nice point, Maharaj, which you told. And you also told that Madhavendra Puri did not want to take any service from anybody. He was of ayachak pravritti, but for the sake of the Lord, he was engaging everybody in the service of the Lord. And you very nicely told what relates to Srila Prabhupada is that feeling separation from Krishna and engaging in the service of the Lord to fulfill his mission constitutes the best example of love of Krishna, and which is Srila Prabhupada. So thank you, Maharaj. And service without personal consideration. And as Prabhupada said that problems, I don't see any problems. I only see service to my Guru Maharaj, which was very, very, heart-touching sentence, Maharaj, which you told. And how Govardhan feels so jubilant in providing his services. Madhavendra Puri was feeling so jubilant. So we should also feel so jubilant while we execute our devotional service. That was also very, very nice point, Maharaj, which you told. So thank you for telling us the journey of Madhavendra Puri of bringing Chandan. And on this auspicious day of Chandan Yatra and Akshay Tritiya, we are so fortunate, Maharaj, to have you with us. Once again, we would like to express our heartfelt gratitude for blessing us. Thank you very much, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. That was very nice. I just thought of something that Srila Prabhupada said, that anyone who preaches in the Muslim countries, I take the dust of his feet on my head. So I preached in Pakistan. Sometimes I would think of that. So if we're going to end now, I suggest we conclude with Vaishnav Pranam.
Sure, Maharaj.
Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnav devotees of the Lord, who are just like desire trees, who can fulfill the desires of everyone and are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Vanchakalpa trubhya kripa sindhubhya cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Balaram Desh ki jai.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Gaur Premanand. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Dandat Pranam.
My mother is Maharaj. We also have Siddha Gauranga Prabhu, who is the Yatra leader of Avatari Desh here. Siddha Gauranga Prabhu, you can.
Hare
Oh,
Krishna Maharaj, please accept our humble obeisances. Thank
Hare-
you so much for giving us your virtual association today on this most auspicious Akshaya Tritiya and Chandana Yatra. And thank you very much for nicely narrating the pastimes of Madhavendra Puri and Chandana Yatra. We are blessed, Maharaj. Please
Yeah.
bless us so that we can continue our spiritual lives steadily. Thank you so much, Maharaj.
yeah, I wish you all success and thank you for your service there. Right.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Close.
So thank you, Maharaj. So we will now end this meeting. Thank you once again, Maharaj, for your valuable time and association.
It was a
Thank
pleasure.
you all. Thank you all for joining in today and actually, having this association. Thank you very much. Sanatan Gokul Prabhu, now you can end the meeting. Hare Krishna.
Just 1 second, Prabhuji.
Yes,
We would
yes.
like to thank the participants, and at the same time, we would like to thank those who have sent the chandan to the temple for applying to the Lord, and also His Grace Sarthi Govindas Prabhu and team. There are a lot of devotees. They all applied the chandan and gave nice darshan to us today. So I thank everyone. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Sorry.